Okay, good morning. Pull up the chat here. Okay, as you guys come in, if someone could tell me in the chat if they can hear me or not, that would be great. Yes, thank you, Jesse. Okay, we'll give everyone another 2 minutes before we get started. And as you guys come in, if you want to just put your name in the chat, so I have a little record of who was here before class started, who was here a little later. Thank you. Great, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Okay. Yes, good morning. Okay, good morning, everybody. For those of you just joining us, good morning. If you want to put your name in the chat, so I have a little record of about when you showed up, that would be great. I'm going to talk through some things on Canvas that we're doing, and then we'll spend most of today talking about cells. Okay, so I'm gonna, let me share my screen here with you guys. Make sure I still have, which this is up, put that away. Okay, so 1 second. Well, you know, I'm a little slow with these things. Okay, so this is our Canvas site that's showing you where we are today, right? We had that getting started module. We've been working through module 1 here, right? So last week we had chapters 1 and chapters 2. We did some work about the language of anatomy, right? All of those vocab words that I expect you guys to know and to become familiar with. And then we also talked about macromolecules and the 4 major types of macromolecules. And then for today's class, we are going to talk about chapter 3, the first part of chapter 3, which is about cells. So we're right here in our class 2 agenda. And so if everyone could open up their Canvas site, go to class 2 agenda, and then for the class 2 attendance quiz, if you could tell me what your favorite organelle is. This is something that I use to judge everyone. It's just one of those things. Most people are going to say mitochondria, and unfortunately mitochondria is a pretty basic answer, you know. Mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, right? But I hope today, after you become more familiar with some of the other organelles, that maybe you'll pick a more nuanced favorite organelle, something like my favorite organelle, which is the lysosome. We'll talk about lysosomes. Maybe the nucleus is your favorite, maybe ribosomes. Maybe you're going to be crazy and say like the Golgi. That's a fun one, right? So I'm hoping today that we'll talk more about organelles. So if you open up class 2 attendance quiz, tell me your favorite organelle. I'll give you guys a minute or two to do that. And then what we'll do is I'll go through a little PowerPoint about some questions I got ahead of time about cells. We'll save the video for the end. And we'll spend most of today working on the class 2 assignment, which is a group activity about organelles. So you guys take that quiz. I'm going to switch gears here over to the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Finish up that quiz. I'll give you guys 1 or 2 more minutes to do that. Okay. And again, for those of you just joining us, make sure you've put your name in the chat so I have a little bit of a record of who you are, when you came, if you were late. So again, class 2 attendance, what's your favorite organelle, name in the chat. Okay, and we're going to get started with some questions I had gotten about chapter 3. Okay, so the first question that I had received about chapter 3 is, what do we mean when we say hydrophobic and hydrophilic? And we use these words a lot, and so let's make sure that we have a good definition, a good baseline definition to work with. Hydrophobic means water hating, phobic, phobia, it's afraid of water. And these are molecules that are uncharged, that are big, right? And so they're not going to interact well with water. And this comes down to the properties of water. Water is a polar molecule. In a few slides, I'll just remind you of what that means. And so things that are not polar or things that are not charged are not going to interact well with water. You're going to think of things like oil, right? Lipids are hydrophobic. Oil and water don't mix. They're hydrophobic. They're afraid of water. On the other hand, molecules that are hydrophilic, these are water-loving molecules. They are things that are charged, things that are polar, and they can interact with that charge, that partial charge that exists on water. So if we have an unequal sharing of our electrons, this can create a partial charge. An unequal sharing of electrons creates a partial charge. And what we're talking about here are our covalent bonds. If you remember for last week, we talked about how we have different types of bonds. We've got ionic bonds, we've got covalent bonds, we've got hydrogen bonds. Those are the main ones that we covered. Ionic bonds, we're fully transferring an electron. Here in covalent bonds, we're sharing is caring. We're sharing electrons between 2 or more atoms. And if they're shared unequally, then we're going to get a partial charge, okay? For our nonpolar molecules, these are ones where they're sharing equally. And the classic example of that is anytime you see a carbon with a hydrogen, right? Those are going to be nonpolar. So long hydrocarbon chains like you see in lipids, nonpolar because they're sharing their electrons evenly, or they have a uniform shape. So there's no partial charge. Whereas polar molecules, they have an unequal hearing. Oh, so someone can't hear what you're saying. Laptop is making a weird noise. Can someone tell me that they can hear me in the chat, or did I just talk for a while for nothing? You can. Okay. Greg, I'm not sure what the problem is. It might be with your laptop. I'm recording this, and so you can watch it afterwards if you're having issues. I would try like turning off the sound and turning it back on. If anyone has any other tips for Greg to get his sound to work, please put that in the chat. I'm really bad with technology. This is something that we're going to learn about each other this semester. Okay, what was I saying? Yes, polar molecules. Polar molecules, this is where they're unequally sharing their electrons. And the classic example is anytime you have oxygen or nitrogen. Oxygen and nitrogen are bullies. They're going to steal most of those electrons, giving them a partial negative charge, leading to a partial positive charge on the hydrogens, okay? So polar molecules then create hydrogen bonds, which are weak bonds for an interaction between the partial negative on the oxygen and the partial positive on the hydrogen, okay? The other thing that people wanted to know more about are the endoplasmic reticulum. So the endoplasmic reticulum is something that's going to be continuous with our nuclear membrane. It's got a network of membrane enclosed sacs, and it comes in 2 flavors, rough and smooth. The rough ER is where we're going to make and fold our proteins. These are studied with ribosomes, and so as the protein is made, it's going to go into the rough ER where it will have the folding take place. Remember, the structure is super important for the function. And then it will be exported. So we'll form little vesicles, little blebs of membrane off of our rough ER, and it will go to the Golgi, where it will be further processed and packaged and sent off from there. The smooth ER, on the other hand, is where we're going to have our other macromolecules. So this is where our lipids are going to be involved for synthesis, making those complex lipids. We're going to add carbohydrates to groups, and we're going to do some drug detoxification. If you only remember one ER, remember the rough one. It's more important for this class. Okay, so that concludes what we had planned for the questions I got ahead of time. If you guys have any questions about that, please put it in the chat. I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, any questions about that? No. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the lesson, the rest of the lesson for today. Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is this document, Cellular Organelles, and you're going to submit it when you're done with your group in this Spot Class 2 assignment. So if you look at this document, what we're going to do, as it loads here, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try and think not just about the function for every organelle, but we're going to try and think of a different metaphor. So in your books and in a lot of textbooks, really, the metaphor they use for a cell is that a eukaryotic animal cell is like a factory, and all the different organelles have different functions. Well, that is all well and good. It is like a factory, but most people don't have a lot of experience with factories and know what happens in a factory. So instead of a factory, we're going to think of a different metaphor. We're going to try and think of a way to talk about the eukaryotic cell and compare it, instead of a factory, to maybe a college campus, a high school, a football team, a house, a family. And once we think of, in your group, and I'll break you into groups, once you think of the general metaphor that you're going to use, then think of what that would mean for each of the organelles. So for example, if we pick a house, if we say a cell is like a house, then a plasma membrane becomes like the fence, and the cytoplasm becomes the yard, right? The fence surrounds and protects. The yard is all the stuff that makes up the space, right? And from there, you want to keep that same metaphor and think of what that would mean for each of the organelles in the list. And you're going to type that into a document. I want everyone to type their own document and then submit it. So I'm going to break you guys into rooms. And what I want you guys to do is to turn on your videos, to turn on your sound, and talk about it as a group. And the first thing you're going to do is think of what your metaphor is going to be for your cell. Your cell is like a what? And then think of what the nicknames are going to be. And then I want you to pick one person in your group who is going to be the recorder, and they're going to type the answers into the chat for what you guys picked for everything. So turn on your videos, turn on your sounds, talk about it, okay? And then pick someone to be the official group typer. So I'm gonna create these rooms, okay? Create rooms, open all rooms, stop sharing here. So what I would like you guys to do is move to your breakout rooms now. You should see that appear on the sidebar. And I'm going to randomly join a room too. So Darren, Greg, Tanya, make sure you go and join your rooms. Great.
do it for the group.
Okay.
I'm just checking on you guys. How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah. How's everything going outside of class? Are you guys doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just checking to make sure everything's going good. If you need anything, put it in the chat and I can read that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. How's it going in here, guys?
It's going pretty good. I'm the typer.
You're the type.
Yeah.
Okay. How's everything going outside of class? Are you guys doing okay?
It's going.
I'm good.
You're good, Grayson? You sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just checking on you guys. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and I'm going to keep popping around rooms.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
That compared to the house would be
How you guys doing? Just
Good.
interrupting you. Everyone doing okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How are things going outside of class? Are you guys doing okay with everything?
yeah, hanging in there.
That doesn't sound great. Okay. Well, if you guys have any questions, I can read the chat still, so let me know, okay?
Okay.
Bye. How's it going, guys?
Going okay.
It's going okay. What do you pick as your metaphor for the South?
I think we picked house too.
House. That's a good one. That's a good one. Do you guys have any questions?
One of my group members said her thing doesn't look the same.
Like whenever, so you know how yours is like it has like in a grid type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like mine isn't like that. Like it has the things listed and like has a function and nickname, but they're like really close together.
Do you have Word on your computer?
Yes.
Okay. It might be a different type of Word. I don't know. Some people are having issues where they download documents, and if I've put a table in there, it is what you're saying, like the table isn't formatted correctly.
Yeah, like it's not even a table.
Yeah, that's what it's not showing up like a table. It's showing up as like weird text.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll just work with it. I just, just
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. I know that that's happening, but I am very computer bad. So, yeah, that's all I got. But is everything else going okay for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll let you guys keep working on this. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Gregory, I assigned you to a breakout room, so make sure you click on that if your sound is working. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Is your sound working? Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. As you come back, make sure your typer types your group responses in the chat. Or you can take a screenshot and upload the screenshot into the chat as well if you're not a fast typer. For some reason, I can't hear. Can someone tell me if they could hear me in the chat? I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, Esperanza, you might need to leave and then come back. Technology, man. Isn't that fun? Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Typers get typing. I just got the notification from Zoom that we got 6 minutes left because I am cheap and don't pay for the promo Zoom. So I'm gonna wrap this up. While you guys come back and share your information in the chat, I'm gonna share my screen very briefly, just talk about a few last things. So what I want you to make sure you do is you submit your assignment in the submit class 2 assignment. And if you didn't finish, that's okay. Just submit what you have. If you did finish, awesome. Submit that, okay? So I hope you found that this was like a useful exercise in thinking about cells and thinking about the different organelles in the cell, okay? In the interest of time, I'm only going to show you a little bit of this video while you guys get typing. Again, make sure one person from your group types in your thoughts while you do that. I'm going to load up this video here. Okay. Too much screen. We're just going to do the little screen. Okay. So this video, do we submit as a group or do we have to complete it individually? If you're submitting it as a group, make sure you put everyone's names on the document. Otherwise, submit it individually, just to be sure. So I know, because I don't have a record of who was with what group. Does that make sense? Okay. So this video I really like, and we don't have time to watch all of it. But what it did, it used computational modeling to show you an animation that's a little bit more accurate for what happens inside of a cell. Most of the time when we think about the cell, we think of lots of space and we think about things moving very slowly. We talked about vesicles, right? Traveling from the rough ER to the Golgi. And we think like, oh, this vesicle just kind of moves, right? But in actuality, the cells are pretty crowded. The cells are full of stuff, organelles, proteins, cytoskeletal elements, and things are actually moving fast. And so that's what I want you guys to appreciate from this video, is think about how quickly things are moving. And I also want you to appreciate the relationship between structure and function. Okay. With that being said, we're just going to start it off here. So again, think of how fast things are moving. This is in real time. This is not slowed down. Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here. This is showing you the plasma membrane. So these are receptors on your plasma membrane. And again, moving quickly. Okay, I want to show you one thing, and you guys can watch the rest of this video on your own time. I want to show you my favorite part. Okay, this is showing you a vesicle moving along cytoskeleton. So when we talk about the vesicles leaving the ER and going to the Golgi, they're actually carried there along cytoskeleton by these motor proteins. And the motor proteins actually look like they're walking, which is the coolest thing. Look at it. Look at it go. Ugh. Awesome. Okay, so as a reminder, you've got a few things that are coming up now. So we've reached the end of module 1. Next week, we're going to start on module 2. We're going to be talking about tissues and skin, but you've got some things to do. Make sure you submit all of your guided reading questions, guided reading question 1, guided reading question 2, guided reading question 3. Make sure you submit that homework. And then on Monday, your quiz will open, okay? And the quiz you have to take at some point during Monday. You have that 24 hours to take it, okay? Next week, we're going to start on module 2. Now, I noticed that people didn't really do that last part where we're putting things in the chat. That's okay. We'll work on that next week. Make sure you submit it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we're about to be kicked out of the room. So I will see you next week. You guys are free to go. Do we still have class on Monday? Yes, we will still be meeting in person next week until they tell us we're all moving online, which might be soon. I don't know. No one has told me anything.
For the assignment, the cellular organelles one that
Yes.
we just did, do we submit that in the class 2 assignment?
Yes, submit whatever
All
you
right.
have.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Enjoy
Bye,
your
have a good weekend. Thank you, you too.
Any other questions? We're about to be kicked out. Okay. Julian, Tanya, you guys okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys next week.